the 2K Sports pregame show.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith. We're glad to have you with us on 2K Sports. Moments away, it'll be the Indiana Pacers going up against the Miami Heat. Looking at Miami, maybe it hasn't been quite the start to the season they were hoping for. They're just 2-3 so far, but probably a little too early to get hung up on the one-loss record at this point. And then you look at Chris Bosh, who missed half of last season. Such an important player on both ends of the floor, and boy, the Heat really missed him.
Yeah, he's a go-to player who demands attention, and he's got a feathery touch. You know, he keeps getting better as his threes starts going down. So he's a very difficult cover for a lot of people, so they definitely missed him.
Yeah, he's difficult because he can drag the bigger defenders out and shoot the threes in their face like Yakam. And if you're a smaller guy, he's going to abuse you on the block with the back-to-back game.
Has your touch ever been described as feathery, Shaq?
Nope.
What would it be called?
I'm not a feathery type of guy.
I hear you.
Let's go to Kevin Harlan. He's got the call, courtside.
Now let's meet the stars for your Pacers. At shooting guard, at 6'6", number 6, Allen Brown. At power forward, standing 6'11", number 33, Miles Turner. At the other guard position, 6 feet 4 inches, number 3, CJ McCollum. At the center position, at 7'0", number 21, Hassan Whiteside. The other forward, at 6'9", number 13, Paul George. Your home team head coach is Frank Vogel.
On the road, looking for a win against an Eastern Conference rival, the Miami Heat are ready to get this thing started. And with the road trip approaching, the Pacers will play the final game of their homestand. And of course, John Wall, even with him gone, they've shaken it off quickly and have really come together as a team.
And as shocked as people are that they would trade away a player of his caliber, Kevin, they didn't just let him go for nothing. They got a lot in return. I think it's a deal that's going to really help them down the road.
And that's the idea. You know, you want to build a foundation on which this team can continue to move upward. So certainly some fans unhappy to see him go, but fans will be patient, and they also continue to be fans.
So here's Miami's starting group. Wade and Dang are the 2 and 3. Bismack Biyombo is out there with Chris Bosh, and it's Dragic in at the point. 4 on the shot clock. And George with the stuff.
How about the excitement right now that he's playing the game with? I love it.
He capped that dunk off with some serious hang time on the rim.
I tell you what, he just couldn't contain himself on that one. And we all know about Paul George and his injury while with Team USA. I mean, he has still said that he would consider playing international ball.
It's deflected. Now, here's Dragic. 26 points for him last game against the Nets in Brooklyn.
And also give him credit for his ability to pass the basketball. He was always looking for the open man.
Now here's Dang. Can't get the putback. For George to be eager to go back and represent the U.S. in international play is a brave move.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, a lot of it might be that he just wants to put that in the past and move on. And sometimes you do that best by confronting things head on. The only way to have that be the past is to keep playing for his country. There's a chance he could have a big game if they don't D him up more tightly on the perimeter.
Now here's McCollum.
And really, he epitomizes what a point guard should be. I mean, his skills as a passer might actually be matched by that creativity he shows around the rim.
Well, judging by that jam, Greg, I'd say you're absolutely right.
Boy, that's a nice surge for them just when they needed it in a game that was so tight.
That Kia Slam Cam replay really gave you a good look at the action. Looking at Miami, they want to turn it around after the loss to the Nets in Brooklyn.
Just looking at the stat sheet, they gave far too many free throws away in that game. Maybe it was the noise in the building or something, but they really looked rattled.
Well, Greg, I don't know if it was the biggest reason for that loss, but all of those misses from the stripe clearly had an impact on that game.
For Miami, they've gone 2 of 3 here to start out the game. Doris Burke has some information for us. Doris?
Kevin, I was able to speak with Eric Spoelstra for a moment. He told me that he's looking forward to this matchup. Their first look at this team so far this season. He said they'll look to play up defensively. As usual, their length and shot blocking a great deterrent inside. Kevin?
Okay, thank you, Doris. And the defensive approach, guys, how do you think that'll play out here?
You know, sounds like they'd like to keep this a low-scoring affair. This could be one of those grind-it-out kind of games.
And I'm sure that would suit them just fine. It may not be what the fans want to see or hear, but a win is a win. Come on now. A W is a W, and that's what you're playing for.
Here's Dang, and he gets the bucket.
They're off and running. Good start here. They've knocked down 4 of their first 5.
And what a tough position Luol Deng found himself in last year in a small forward swap of sorts. LeBron James goes from Miami to Cleveland. Dang goes from Cleveland to Miami. He had his choice. There was Atlanta that was in the mix there too, but he goes to the Miami Heat. He's bounced around a little bit, but still a very big talent.
He is. You know, he kind of likes following legends. Remember, Scottie Pippen was that great small forward in Chicago, and then Luol Deng was the next heir apparent. So he seemed to be pretty comfortable stepping into LeBron's role. Unfortunately, not able to deliver at the same level. And let's face it, the problem is you can't make up for losing the best player in the game, and that's the case here in Miami for Luol.
And, you know, getting back to Luol Deng, he wasn't entirely pleased with his new role. He's been a knockdown mid-range shooter throughout his career, but last year he was asked to shoot corner threes in volume, and that's not his game.
Chris Bosh.
Just under 3.5 minutes gone here in the first quarter. Here's McCollum. He had a 21-point outing in their last game against Boston.
And also defensively, he was really aggressive. I mean, matter of fact, he had 4 steals over the course of that game.
Took the opportunity when he saw it. And that's now 7 points here for George.
And back to Luol Deng. I mean, he started last season pretty strong. I mean, Deng was actually healthier than LeBron at the beginning of the year, but the tables turned around midseason. Deng became hobbled with that knee, and LeBron returned to his old dominant self.
And so it's Indiana with it, following the miss by Chris Bosh. Crab dishes to McCollum. George against Dragic. Shot clock at 6. And again, Paul George. George has got 9.
Great start for him. 4-4. He could be in for a big game.
Certainly looks that way to me, partner. I mean, his energy level is ramped up. I think he's been terrific right from the opening tip.
And Miami calls their first time out of the game. Everyone understands the importance of Paul George to the ball club. That's why taking his offensive game to the next level would be so beneficial.
Yeah, he has all the physical tools, the instincts, and obviously he has made those strides. But if he wants to become a top 5 guy, he's still got a little bit of work to do in terms of his game.
The Pacers making a change here. Vonleh's checked in. Stoudemire's checked in for Miami. Winslow comes in for Luol Deng. 6 changes of the lead here.
Yeah, no team able to build a big lead early on. I mean, it's tight.
Yeah, both teams still kind of feeling their way through this game.
Here's Crabb. He's coming off a 13-point game against Boston. A nice shot by George.
From a man, PG, Paul George, so much focus has been on extending his range, but ever since he started launching over 5 3-pointers a game, he shot under 43% from the field. Maybe time for him to balance out that shot selection.
No good from Wade.
I think in that situation, it was a nice try to create some space for himself with the fadeaway.
Vonleh setting the pick for McCollum. Kicks to George. To the paint. Here's Vonleh. And he caught that pass in full stride on his way to the big slam.
I like the fact that he led his teammate right to the ideal spots. You don't always throw it to your teammate. You throw it to where he needs to be.
And guys, talking about Paul George, the continued improvement of his ball handling is key to generating more offense. That was a weakness of his coming out of college. He's worked on it, but making it a strength the way LeBron has would go a long way toward getting him to that next level.
It's hauled in by Dwayne Wade. Miami trailing. Here's Dragic. Finished off the break.
Such a strong finisher on the fast break.
And Greg, I love the fact he's always in control. Even though he's going at breakneck speed, he still maintains his body control.
Now here's McCollum. He feeds it to George. There's the dish to Whiteside. Indiana moving the ball around. They set the pick to the inside. Off the pick. And George finishes inside. George has got 14 points for the game.
And when they've gone to him, he has come through big time. You got to keep getting him touches.
And it's blocked. Now the Pacers moving it up. Jacks up a 3. And the Pacers another 3.
You know, there's no better sign of how efficiently a team is operating than their assist number. And theirs are fantastic.
Just beautiful when they play the game like this.
A different look for Miami. Gerald Green comes in for Chris Bosh. Rodney Stuckey's subbed in for Dwayne Wade. It's Dragic with the drive. Here's Stoudemire, and it's blocked by Whiteside. Vonleh, the pass to McCollum. Whiteside kicks to George. There's the screen. He lobs it up. Great communication on the alley-oop. Now it's a 7-point Pacer lead.
And they can up the ante a little bit there after that basket.
Yeah, you know, their lead's increasing, and they've got to be feeling better and better about the way this game is starting to play out now. So we'll see if they can close it out.
Here's Dragic. After the basket by Noah Vonleh. And it goes out of bounds. That one off Dragic.
Boy, did they ever make a mess out of that one. A terrible turnover.
There's 38 seconds left to play in the first. Now here's McCollum. He's covered closely. And the officials call goaltending, so they'll award the basket.
He got there late, but you do have to like the aggressiveness to go after the block. But that one's going to count.
Turner's checked in for Whiteside. The Heat trail by 9. Dragic kicks to Winslow. That's in, coming off an assist from Dragic. Dragic has got 5 assists tonight.
Those are the kind of nice inside looks they've gotten in the first half here.
And I think they should continue to work the ball down low, Clark. It's really going to free up their outside shooting.
Down low, here's Green. It's deflected. Here's George. No good on the buzzer beater. The offense coming free and easy as we wrap up the first quarter. Pacers lead by 7. After this break, we'll be back with the start of the second quarter on 2K Sports. And now a chance to hear from Chris Bosh about what it meant to him to become an NBA player, the fulfillment of a lifelong dream.
Let's take him back.
What a great cut from Chris Bosh. That's the kind of guy you can't help, Greg, but love for his attitude and ability to be, in touch with that kid he once was. I know you played the same way. Chris Bosh is living the dream like you did and loved it.
That's a great point, Kevin. And I think most of the guys in the league feel that same way. I mean, they may not be able to say it or articulate it as smoothly as Chris does,
sure.
but inside every NBA player is a kid who's still thrilled to wear the uniform and play the game they love.
And the first quarter is in the books. Second about ready to get underway. And let's quickly break down the game, guys, we have seen from Indiana. What do you think?
They come out the gates here strong and put together just a solid first quarter.
A ton of good looks for him, Greg, on offense, and it's quality shots they're getting.
And now, brought to you by Gatorade, all fueled up and ready to go. Let's reset our lineups. On the court for the Heat, we've got Green. Winslow is out there with Dang. Then there's Rodney Stuckey, and it's Biyombo at the 5.
That's one he knows he should have drained.
I tell you, Luol Deng is not exceptional in any one area, but really doesn't have any weaknesses either. I think he's been one of the most complete small forwards over the past decade in the league.
Now, here's Richardson. There's a screen by Moti Eunice. 5 to shoot. A chance there to push it to double digits, but it's off the mark. The drive by Green. Stuckey dishes to Green. Got a piece of it. Richardson kicks to McCullough. Indiana moving the ball around. In the corner, Moti Eunice with it. And he comes off the screen to bury the jump shot. Moti Eunice has got the lead up to 9 now for the Pacers. Talking about Luol Deng, his consistency year to year has been outstanding. Over 11 seasons, Greg, if you look at his averages across every category, they're remarkably similar.
And here's a guy can score from anywhere. Great mid-range game, makes plays for his teammates, rebounds at both ends. He is versatile and bankable.
Here's McCollum. The Heat getting the bucket. He kicks it to Turner. Off target on the 15-footer.
The right thing there to stay that tight on him and really try to keep him out of his comfort zone.
And it's good. And now just a 5-point Pacer lead.
And defensively, they are on their heels every time the ball comes inside.
Yeah, I think they've got to ramp up the aggressiveness, Greg. I mean, if they don't, things are just going to get worse from here.
So it's the Pacers now. The Heat getting the bucket. McCollum with the ball. He dishes it to Turner. That's in for the first basket of the game after 3 attempts.
And really, he's just done a great job of finding the open man every trip down.
Boy, it sure has seemed as though he's done it every time. It's been an awesome display of passing for him today.
Now here's Stuckey. Still getting warmed up offensively. No buckets yet in the game for him. And it's Dang in the corner. Fades back. Can't get it to go. So the Pacers will take it the other way. Their last game, a win against Boston, looking to carry it into this one.
You know, they played well enough to win, but to be honest with you, I just felt like their opponent's defensive performance was shaky at best.
Yeah, I'd go along with that, Greg. I mean, the game wasn't handed to them, but they definitely didn't have to work as hard for it as they should have.
Now here's Stuckey. After the miss from Doug McDermott, there's Green with the three. Matajunas grabs the miss.
Well, I think it's been said about 1,000 times now how Coach Spoelstra started as a video coordinator with the Heat, but he's been with the organization for so long, they are starting to become synonymous.
Greg, as you said, Spoelstra has been with the Heat for so long now in his 8th season. He's handpicked by Pat Riley to lead the team, and Riley Clark kind of molded him in his image.
Yeah, and it was clear that Pat Riley believes in him and continues to believe in him. Coach Spoelstra has had very high expectations on his shoulders ever since taking over the team, and he's actually lived up to them.
So an entirely new group in now for Indiana. Whiteside's checked in for Turner. Noah Vonleh comes in for Matajunas. Paul George is checked in for McDermott, and it's Larkin in for C.J. McCollum. The Heat also changing it up. Chris Bosh is checked in for Winslow, and Dwayne Wade subbed in for Green. Here's Larkin. Outside, George. And the pass to Richardson. Larkin kicks to George. Passes to Vonleh. Trying his luck deep. Shot, no good. The Heat trail by 7. Now Stuckey. He hasn't scored yet. That I'm sure will change. And fouled hard that time. He'll get to the line and shoot 2.
And a great stretch of games here for Wade at the end of a great stretch of games for Wade at the end of last season. I mean, he turned back the clock, if you will, for a while and really helped carry this Heat team.
Amari Stoudemire is checked in for Miami. Dragic comes in for Rodney Stuckey. Here's Larkin. Right side a screen. Richardson against Wade. It's George on the wing. Indiana needs to get a shot off. And once again off the mark by Indiana. Yeah, Greg, you know, I remember that stretch with Wade you're talking about. It seems like he finally now feels healthy, Clark, and it shows.
Wade himself said, Kevin, it was the best he felt in a couple of years. Health is such a big factor for him, given how he plays and selectively now likes to attack the rim.
It's stolen by Dang. Pass to Dragic. Down low. Out that one. The Indiana lead has been cut to just 3 points on the basket from Wade.
Boy, they keep hammering away at him inside, forcing that ball into the paint. Smash mouth basketball.
And Clark, it's a strategy that has served them well during the course of this first half.
Now, here's George. He picked up 21 points in their last win against Boston.
Yeah, but he was the ultimate two-way player. Defensively, also doing a great job. A couple blocks in that game as well. And one bright note for the Pacers last season was the play of their bench. Adding Rodney Stuckey was a huge boost for them.
Timeout called, the Heat. And Stuckey led the charge for the Pacers bench, Greg, as you were talking about. But all around, the reserves, Clark, were fantastic on the Pacers.
Yeah, third in the league at almost 41 points per game off the bench. First in the NBA in bench rebounding. And top 10 in field goal percentage as a bench.
Looking at who's out there now for the Pacers. Turner's checked in for Noah Vonleh. Crabbe comes in for Richardson. And McCollum subbed in for Larkin. Here's George, following the score by Luol Deng. And George, here we go, and he uses both hands to jam it in.
Boy, he threw out some punishment with that two-hand throwdown.
And Clark, now's the time to do it. Continue to attack that rim.
The Heat trail by 5. Pass to Stoudemire. Wade outside. 1:57 left in the second quarter. And it's Miami with another.
And really smart to draw his man out to the perimeter. He's giving up too much size to be effective inside.
Showed nice basketball IQ. I agree, Greg. I mean, if he finds his spot on the perimeter and doesn't force it, I think his outside shot will be hard to block no matter who's defending.
Stolen by Bosch. Wade, right side. And it's blocked by Whiteside. Crabbe, good. Crabbe's got his second bucket of the game to go. Let's look at the energy stats, how the hustle game has been going for the Pacers.
Well, in the first half of play, they're closing out aggressively, blocking shots, a key indicator of their activity on the defensive side.
Something else they've done right so far from the get-go tonight is run. I mean, so much of their offense has come off the fast break.
Here's McCollum after the made shot from Dwayne Wade. Outside, George. Out to the wing. McCollum passes to Turner. Comes up empty from 19 feet out.
Not really his best quarter as far as scoring. Let's see if he can eventually get back on track.
And it's Dragic off the drive. Out to Wade. Puts up a three. Pacers with the rebound. Their biggest lead of the game was 9. This, of course, their first chance to play Miami this season.
And they were able to take the season series in that matchup last year, but overall, two teams that were very similar in the standings.
Yeah, they were able to make the plays to come out on top, but it really could have gone either way, and you could say the same for tonight's game.
And it's sent back by George. And here's McCollum. He gets it up. Got it off in time, but it's no good. And a pretty tightly contested game here as we end the first half. Indiana out in front, leading by 5. And now we'll send it down to Doris Burke, who's standing by courtside.
Well, I'm here with Coach Erik Spoelstra. And, Coach, at what end of the floor are you guys looking to make adjustments for in this second half?
Well, on both ends. Our decision-making offensively with the turnovers, got him out in the open court, got him some easy ones, and we have to settle into our game defensively, try to disrupt him a little bit. It's been way too easy for us.
Erik, appreciate it. Kevin, back to you.
Okay, Doris, much appreciated. And now for halftime. So we'll be back in just a bit to get the third quarter underway.
And now, the 2K Sports Halftime Show.
I would call that a competitive first half of action. Ernie Johnson here welcoming you back to the 2K Sports Halftime Show with Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny the Jet Smith. Paul George taking care of business in this one. He had 23 points, 4 assists, and 1 block. An extremely potent first 2 quarters for him. And Kenny, what'd you think about what we saw from Indiana? And Shaq, your thoughts on the Heat?
Where was the sense of urgency? We all know they're capable of playing better, and no one wants to give up a ridiculous high shooting percentage. They need a little attitude adjustment in the second half, or this game will get away from them.
And that'll do it for now as the second half of our game is about to get underway. Kevin Harlan has the call.
And now, let's get it. We go.
Well, both sides have assessed what they need to do over the break in halftime. We'll see now if one can pull out a way here in the third. You look at Paul George in this game, guys, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, created a lot of quality shots for himself in that first half, and he knew when to pass it up when the double team came.
And that led to a very high points per shot number for him. For those of you that are into analytics, that stat really tells how efficient a player has been, and he's been very efficient so far.
Turner is out there with Whiteside. Then it's Paul George. Then it's Allen Crabbe. And it's McCollum in at the 1 spot. That's the group starting the second half for Frank Vogel. Now, here's Biyombo. Now, here's Dang. Cans the 12-footer. Dang's got 9.
I like the way they're working the ball inside, because when you do that, you get higher percentage shots, and typically good things happen.
It's stolen by Dragic. Cannot hit. Good work defensively by Whiteside. Pacers leading by 5. And one of Goran Dragic's greatest traits, Greg, excelling in the open court. High energy point guard, A lot like you, speed to burn, very smart guy, coveted by many.
He really is. And Kevin, he transitions from defense to offense as quickly as anyone in the league, a la Tony Parker, except he's also equally adept at facilitating for others and spotting up for the three, or just taking it to the rack himself.
And, you know, back to Goran Dragic, many of his transition opportunities start with his aggressive defense. Very active with his hands, has the instincts to jump passing lanes, the long arm to pick off passes. Suddenly, when he gets a steal, he's off and running.
Now here's McCollum after Dwayne Wade's miss on the wing. And no good, trying to use the glass. Clark, they've been struggling here on offense.
Yeah, a little bit of cottonmouth here. Dry spell for sure.
And talking about Goran Dragic, the one thing he has to be careful with is being over-aggressive on deep. Reaching for steals makes you susceptible to blow-bys and escape dribbles, and that can lead to uncontested layups and dunks for your opponent.
Now here's McCollum. Outside, George. Turner with a screen for George. Wants to get it to Turner and does. Tries to save it. And so it looks like the Pacers will retain possession here. Winslow's checked in for Luol Deng. The three from McCollum. Bosch grabs the miss.
Still a bit chilly from the field at the start of this third quarter. 1 of 4 so far.
Here's Biyombo. No stopping him there. Jams it in as he's fouled. A chance now for a three-point play. It's going to be on Miles Turner. And guys, Bismack Biyombo, he got into a groove at the end of last season. After Al Jefferson went down, remember the month of April, he averaged nearly 9 rebounds a game, 2.5 blocks. He was all over the floor.
Yeah, and that's Bismack. I mean, he's that guy. He cleans the glass for you, intimidates shooters in the lane. He's not all the way consistent yet, but he's shown steady improvement.
Talking about Bismack Biyombo, he entered the league as an extremely raw prospect. Was a 7th pick in 2011. His shot and general awareness were the biggest concerns. But last season, he shot over 60% from the floor. The 2 seasons before that was only 45%.
And his presence as a scorer, it just has a calming effect for the rest of the team. He's a fallback option whenever they need one.
Now here's McCollum. 5 points in the game. That's good.
And getting back to Biyombo for a moment, he has the potential for a breakout year. I mean, all the physical tools you would want. He's seen enough of the game. He's worked on those skills. Now it's time to just put it all together and become the player your potential dictates.
Now here's McCollum after Dwayne Wade's miss. McCollum dishes to Whiteside. And he makes no mistake on the slam dunk.
Now that was pretty. That was just a nice-looking reverse jam right there.
Use the rim, Clark, to protect the ball, I think, too, a little bit.
Yeah, did a nice job with it.
And guys, how about the awareness there with that finish in traffic? And they're controlling the boards, Kevin. That's +5 in that category.
And, guys, you know that rebounding is a huge part, a huge component of winning games. It's not a glamour stat, but it's necessary if you're going to be a winning team. Boy, that was a violent throw down there.
You're telling me.
I mean, it's almost like he doesn't like the rim.
Wade kicks to Dragic. In the third quarter with just over 3.5 minutes off the clock. And it's blocked by Whiteside. And the ball travels out of bounds. It was last touched by Whiteside.
And checking out the numbers for Whiteside, last year, getting it done. Averaged about 11 points a game last season, 10 rebounds, and over 2.5 blocks. Just solid all-around performances we've been seeing from him, delivering night in and night out.
And, you know, that's what stars do. It isn't always about scoring 50 points. It's about making plays consistently.
Here's what Miami's going with right now. Green, he's checked in for Wade. Rodney Stuckey's subbed in for Goran Dragic. Pacers leading by 8. The Miami Heat came up short last season in hopes of getting back to the playoffs. Clark, their road record didn't help them much.
Yeah, 17-24. I don't think you can be that far under 500 on the road and hope to play in the postseason.
Stuckey kicks to Bosch. Back to Stuckey. There's the double team from Whiteside. In the corner, Winslow with it. The three from Bosch. And Whiteside sends it back. And that'll be Miami as it goes out of bounds. The Heat retain possession. And some changes here for the Pacers. Noah Vonleh, he's checked in for Whiteside. And it's Doug McDermott in for George. And Miami with a change here, too. Stoudemire's checked in. The Heat trail by 8.
And how about for the Heat having the best road record of any team that didn't make the postseason in the East? But as you said, struggling on the road will sink a team battling for a playoff spot.
Richardson, he's checked in for the Pacers. McCollum with the ball. He's got 7. Turner with a screen on Stuckey. Clock at 4. Tries yet again. Turner passes to McCollum. And the Pacers can't get it to go. Miami's gone 0 of 2 from deep to start things here in the second half. Stuckey kicks to Green. They need this one. It's hauled in by Richardson.
You know what? He's just stone cold right now. Really not sure if he's their best option offensively as they try to get back in this game.
Dishes it to Vonleh. Now the feed to McCollum. Turner with a screen on Stuckey. McCollum passes to Turner. And the rejection by Stoudemire. Winslow kicks to Stoudemire. Out of bounds. Indiana takes possession.
You know, one final note, guys, on the Heat and their road losses. They ended up going only 2-8 in their last 10 road games of the year. That was a big part of how they fell out of the 8th playoff seed.
Amari Stoudemire with a change of scenery last season was bought out by the Knicks, signed with the Mavs midway through the season.
That was the best thing to happen to Stoudemire, in my opinion, Kevin. He got to play playoff basketball again, and we know that wasn't going to happen in New York.
Timeout called the Pacers.
And for Stoudemire last year, served as a backup big for the Mavs and was still as efficient as ever.
And Indiana making a change here. Moniunas is checked in. Pacers leading by 8.
I don't think Stoudemire will ever be what he once was, but he is a valuable big to bring off the bench for a contending team in limited minutes.
Just not there from a rhythm standpoint right now. It's really eluding him.
Clark, they've been struggling here on offense.
Yeah, a little bit of cottonmouth here. Dry spell for sure.
Outside, Green with some arc, and it's good on the way in.
Oh, terrific way to finish that move there, going to the basket.
Pacers have gone 5 of 12 from the field since the third quarter got underway. Now McCollum, he has 7. Here's Turner. Tries it from 9. And he gets that one to go off the front iron. Turner's got his second bucket of the night. The Heat trail by 8. Now a timeout called by Miami. Well, the Pacers, despite all their injuries from last season, were right in the playoff hunt until the very end. Had a chance, in fact, GA, on the last day to sneak in, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, they needed a Brooklyn loss to go along with them winning that last game. Ultimately, though, it wasn't in the cards for them, and they ended a game out of the postseason.
Noah Vonleh, he's checked in for the Pacers. Counted, and the Pacer lead has been cut down now to just 5 on the basket from Green. 1:06 left to play here in the third. Now here's McDermott. Tight defense on him. And McCollum now atop the key. And he gets it to go from the high post. McCollum's got 9.
And, you know, the Pacers had made the playoffs in each of the last 4 seasons prior to last year's miss. Hard for a team that was coming off of back-to-back conference finals appearances to stomach that. But with the injuries, they'll be better and back in the playoffs next year, I'm sure.
Now here's McCollum. 9 points in the game so far. 40 seconds left here in the third quarter. Kicks it out to Richardson. The shot misses. And the Heat going the other way now.
And really, it's going to be more of a reload than a rebuild situation for the Pacers. You would have to imagine their goal isn't just to get back to the playoffs, but to get back to being a conference final participant. Consistency all game long. He's going to continue, I think, to have to take it over to get them back in the game. And, you know, obviously, there's some things out there he does not like and wants to talk it over.
Well, Greg, you've played and you envision yourself as a coach as well. So, sometimes you need to make some adjustments.
Here's Richardson. Quiet so far offensively, searching for his first points of the game. Inside, here's McCollum. And so he earns a trip to the line. Officials saw the contact and he'll shoot two.
Yeah, good job to take it right at the D.
Yeah, really left him no choice there, Greg. He had to foul and keep him from converting the easy bucket.
Pacers have shot 2 of 5 from the free throw line. And that's good as he hits both of his shots. 5 seconds left to play in the third. Dragic cannot hit. And we've watched 3 so far in this one. Pacers lead by 7. And we're just moments away from the start of the fourth quarter. Stay with us. And the final period of play just about to start. The Heat trail by 7. On the floor for Miami, Deng and Bosh are small and power forwards. Dragic is joined in the backcourt by Wade, and it's Stoudemire in at the pivot spot, manning the middle.
No question, he got bumped on that shot.
Yeah, the officials didn't need to talk that one over. It was obvious.
And so he makes both from the line.
Just some amazing stats put up by Chris Bosh early in his career, but having been in the shadow of LeBron and D. Wade over the past few seasons, one wonders if Bosh is now a little bit underrated. He's talented and gives you everything you want from the power forward spot.
Whiteside sets the pick for Vonleh. Off the pick, and it's George finishing it off.
And that's such solid, fundamental basketball on display right there, guys.
You talk about it all the time, Greg. Yeah, great use of the pick to set up the dunk.
And, guys, it was a terrific understanding between teammates that made that possible. They really did read each other well there.
And it was a very public fallout out between Goran Dragic and the Suns front office. That was a real tense few weeks there before ultimately he was traded.
And the first one at the line is good. And, of course, Dragic was traded to Miami last season. Said he felt betrayed by the Suns front office, which spurred him wanting out of Phoenix and to South Florida.
Yeah, you know what? We'll never know the whole truth about that situation, but Dragic said they told him one thing with personnel and did something else.
And Hassan Whiteside of Miami had the breakout year of all breakout years, Clark. He blew up in the right way last season, averaged a double-double over 48 games.
Yeah, and great to see for Whiteside because he did have some issues prior to the breakout year, and it's nice to see him find his stride and produce with that awesome talent he has.
And talking about Whiteside, he isn't completely out of the woods yet. I mean, after a couple of ejections last season, his teammates publicly condemned his actions. They questioned his maturity, challenged him to be more reliable, and for the most part, he was after those incidents.
1 minute now into this fourth quarter. Here's Larkin. He's covered by Deng. Larkin dishes to Vonleh. Soft touch off the glass. Larkin's got the lead up to 9 now for the Pacers.
And you know, the thing about Whiteside, guys, when he's right, he's an unbelievable game changer. Second in the league in blocked shots last season. Also posted the second best field goal percentage. The guy can play if he keeps his head squarely on his neck.
They get it back.
Another rebound hauled in. They're hitting the glass with a lot of passion.
Guys, that's been the key to their lead. I mean, simply put, the effort they've displayed on the glass has been the difference.
Now, here's George after the miss by Luol Deng. And George kicks to Whiteside. Shot clock at 5, and lots of contact there. Missing the shot. He'll shoot 2. It's on Chris Bosh.
They're really doing a good job working hard to get inside and draw contact, a little more so than they did in the first half.
And defensively, if you're trying to battle back, you can't keep sending them to the line.
And both free throws good from Whiteside.
And the Miami Heat have finished in the top 2 spots or better in each of the years the big 3 were in town. Last season that changed as they would end up 10th in that Eastern Conference.
And for the Heat, once the bullies of the Eastern Conference, they had a lot of trouble keeping up with other Eastern Conference teams.
Kevin, they finished 25 and 27 against the rest of the conference, played under 500 against the East at home, which really negated their chances for the playoffs.
Let's go quickly over to Doris Burke for an update.
Well, guys, I was able to listen in on what Eric Spoelstra was going over with his team in that last huddle. He told them that they simply have to step up, saying if we don't make a move now, it's going to be too late. Give them everything you've got. Kevin?
I didn't see that miss coming. I mean, he's usually been money from that range.
Whiteside, a screen on Dragic. Here's Larkin. Deflects the pass, and stolen by Biyombo. Dragic with it. George picks him up. And that is good. 9 points for Chris Bosh.
Really good example there of some fine interior passing before that basket.
The Indiana Pacers had a solid season last year, given they were without their star for most of it. They played well at home.
Yeah, even without Paul George, they were in contention. How about 23 and 18 at home, which is really a solid mark when you consider they didn't have their 2 best players from a season ago.
Turner's checked in for the Pacers. McCollum comes in for Shane Larkin. Pacers leading by 9. Here's McCollum. He dents the rim with a 2-handed slam. Wow.
And how about a little bit of showmanship there as he increases the lead?
Oh, I like that. That's got to be, though, a tough pill for the defense to swallow.
Well, he's a guy that you know can hurt you with his passing, and right there, he does some damage with his finishing, too.
Here's Dragic following the score by Indiana. Feeds it to Deng. It's rebounded by Indiana. George has got his 4th rebound in this one.
You know, for the Pacers in their 23 and 18 home record, that was better than several teams that made the playoffs in the East. They were very tough at home at the defensive end of the floor.
And this is like another case of Murphy's Law right now, and it's been their own doing, really, just like we saw there.
Here's McCollum, and the Pacers tack on 2 more.
Boy, they've gone on this run, and ball movement has been a big key.
It really has, Clark. The defense unable to react as quickly as necessary in terms of dealing with their passing. And the Pacers were 3rd in the league in field goal percentage against at home. Something about this crowd really drives the Pacers on the defensive end, even in a down year.
And he was fouled on the way up. 2 free throws now for him. Well, Greg, after a run of 10 playoff trips in 11 years, the Miami Heat missing the postseason last year, they'd end up a game back of the 8th spot.
Yeah, and what's hard for the Heat, Kevin, is that they were in the playoff picture for most of the year, and as the season wore on, they slowly fell out of that top 8.
You know, guys, for the greater part of last season, it appeared as though the Heat were playoff bound. Even with the players they lost, most figured they would be playing postseason basketball.
Now McCollum. Paul George missing from long range. And here's McCollum. Back to George. To the paint. Shot clock at 6. Biyombo with the block. Now here's Dragic. They set the pick. Kicks to Wade. Right side, Dragic. From 12 feet out. And the foul called on Bismack Biyombo. That'll be his second foul of the game. Here's George. And it's the Pacers' ball. They're on a 13-4 run. Out left to the wing. And stolen by Biyombo. Wade with it. The dish now to Dragic. Here's Dang. Miami no good on that time either.
And one reason why the Heat did come up short in their playoff aspirations, they were very poor against other teams in the playoffs. So only went 15-31 against teams that had made it into the postseason last year.
And that one's good.
Wow, he was just wide open there. That's way too easy.
Indiana leading by 12. Cullen passes to George.
And the Pacers just missed out on the playoffs last year and would have to settle for ninth in the East. Hard for a team that has been so dominant in the East over recent seasons.
And for the Pacers against the East, they actually played the rest of the conference. Greg, very well, ended with a 28-24 record, Clark, against the East.
The only team, Kevin, in the East with a winning record against the rest of the conference not to make the playoffs. Only went 10-19 against the playoff teams in the conference.
Well, you look back at the 2015 Heat, and the injuries are what probably brought that team down. We can go from Chris Bosh with the debilitating blood clot on his lung and on and on and on. The loss, of course, which was not an injury, of LeBron James. There are a lot of moving parts with that team.
And that's a great point, Kevin. If you take any star off a team, things are going to get difficult. It was impressive that the Heat still managed to stay competitive once Bosh went out.
All right, let's go over to the sideline with Doris Burke.
Well, guys, I was able to listen in on what Eric Spoelstra was going over with his team in that last huddle. He told the team he wanted their offense to run through Bosh. Coach is calling on him to play a big role in the offense for the rest of this game, to really be one of the key guys for them down the stretch. With the minutes ticking down and the deficit still a big one, those adjustments have to be a chance worth taking, Kevin.
Thank you, Doris. Guys, a good chance for them to slow it down.
Yeah, I agree. Got to use some clock here. You know, Bosh was the big injury hit for the Heat, but they had a lot of other injuries as well. I mean, had to use 31 different starting lineups last season, and 20 different players started at least one game.
Now, here's Wade, following the miss by Miles Turner. The drive by Wade, drops loose off the pick and hammers it home.
And when he takes it inside, the points are going to come, whether like that possession or just getting to the line.
Now here's McCollum. He's guarded by Dragic. In the corner, it's Richardson. He feeds it to McCollum. He kicks it to Whiteside. And they force the shot clock violation. Great D. The Heat trail by 12. To the middle, here's Bosh. Some nice ball movement here by the Heat. Biyombo and Whiteside sends it back.
And they've got a big lead, not just on the scoreboard, but really in the rebounding numbers as well.
And what I like about it, Greg, it's been a physical brand of basketball. It's had a little sandpaper element to it. Gritty and rough. But that's how you win games.
Now here's Dragic. Wade dishes to Biyombo. Oh, and that one, no question, powered it down. We've got 1:13 left in the fourth quarter. Here's McCollum. And it's Miami with the rebound. Dragic with it, now defended by McCollum. Gets it down to single digits. And that's 17 points for Luol Deng.
You know, maybe he's not one of the elite sharpshooters, but even still, that's not a shot the D can afford to give him.
And plenty of contact on the shot, so 2 free throws coming up.
What a night so far for McCollum. He's got 17 points and 5 assists. That kind of mix of assists and rebounds is what wins you basketball games.
Clark, it's a rarity when you've got a guy that can just do it as well as he does on both ends.
Of course, he didn't have an attempt there in the first half. He's hoping to be a little bit more active and aggressive here and draw some fouls here in the second.
Timeout called, the Heat. They're behind by 8. There's 53 seconds left to play in the final quarter. Dragic kicks to Wade. Wants to get it to Biyombo and does. And the dunk to finish it off. A beauty.
You know, he's not your typical NBA center in terms of height, guys, but he plays as big as any of them, thanks to his incredible bounceability.
Now here's McCollum. Takes it into the teeth of the knee and converts the layup. And the Pacers lead by 8.
And really, with every point from this point on, it seems like they're just closer to finishing this one off.
If they haven't already done it. I mean, hey, it's been a tremendous all-around performance from this group. I don't think there's any question about that.
3 seconds separate the shot clock and game clock. In the corner, it's Richardson. Clock at 6. And the 3 off target. And now here comes Dang, leading the break. Knocks down the trifecta.
What are you going to do defensively? Such separation with the height advantage in that matchup.
So it's Indiana picking up the win. It was a fantastic ball game, and they did a great job making sure it didn't get away from them late.
Yeah, and they got pushed down the stretch, but they did what they needed to do and held their ground when it mattered most and got the dose.
And a chance now to send you over to Doris Burke, standing by on the sideline. Doris?
I'm alongside Paul George. And Paul, you really looked like you were having fun and playing a very fluid game. Did you feel like you were just in a flow out there?
I did. You know, I got hot. I was looking for the ball, looking to make plays, and shots was falling.
Paul, thank you for your time, guys. This is a budding superstar.
Thank you, Doris. Great interview once again. Well, folks, that's going to do it for now. This is Kevin Harlan saying thanks for watching. And now we'll head over to the studio with Ernie Johnson.
The 2K Sports postgame show.
Thank you, Kevin. And now we get a chance to present our Jordan Player of the Game, Paul George. Just a monster first quarter of the game. He came out hot and just never cooled down. That boost he gave his team early on, a huge factor.
His accuracy from the field was pretty eye-catching. I mean, if he was shooting the ball, it was going in. You rarely see a performance like this with this crazy high shooting percentage. Wow.
He flat out dominated. I mean, you see the kind of plays he was making all over the court. This is the game, no matter who they put on him, he wasn't going to be denied. His offensive power was in full effect.
And folks, that's it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Always a pleasure. For Kenny the